So, Jay, I'm gonna head on
Right.
over. And all right, so you, buddy. So, good evening.
Well, good evening to you, Dennis. It's been a great week, a great opportunity to meet with so many people out there in the world that we've been speaking with in small offices and large offices, explaining what we're going to be doing on April 4th. Each time I talk to whether it's a small group or a mid-sized group, it just keeps getting me sharper. And it's truly one of the components of becoming a rainmaker is sharpening your skills. And we'll be doing that on April 4th, and I'm looking forward to it. And everybody on this call, you are certainly the select few who have taken the time to be on this call, and you'll be handsomely rewarded by hearing what we have to say to hear, so that when you hear it again on April 4th, you'll be able to really monetize it going forward in the year to come.
Very good. All right, so tonight we're going to touch upon the Rainmaker event, why it is going to be important to you. And we're going to leave a couple of minutes at the end for the questions, and we'll direct you over to the order page. We're going to give you a real special offer. So join us for the webinar tonight. And Jay, I'll hand it back over to you.
Sure. When we talked today, Dennis, we talked about what the why for anybody to come to this event. If anybody's familiar with a TED Talk, it's really an action-packed opportunity to hear what the presenter, the speaker, has to say. It's very vibrant, very edgy on your seat. And that particular why do you want to become better? Why do you want to improve your life? Why do you want to work smarter, not harder? Well, the answers are plentiful. But sometimes you just can't get that because you don't know where to go, you don't know what books to read, you don't know what subscriptions, blog posts you should subscribe to, etc. The essence of it is that every single day we have an opportunity to become better in our personal and our business life. When you can add the component of why you're doing it, it fuels your gas tank, it fuels your belief systems. And by doing that, you start to recognize that you can be just like Rob White, Mark Wayshack, Stacy Alcorn, and of course yourself, Dennis Charles. And that's what's so good about a TED Talk forum, is being able to hear 5 different speakers with 5 different backgrounds give certain examples of what made them successful, what took them from, say, the bottom to where they are now, and what they're continuing to do to improve in their own businesses. And that's what gets me excited, is that there's truly real content that people will be able to take away from this event and use immediately.
That's fantastic, Jay. And one thing I really want to add in is the networking potential that we have with this. We're not just bringing people in just off the streets to wander in to see if there's anything for them. What we're doing is we're putting it out there and saying, hey, this is for the brightest minds around. This is going to be a real meeting of the minds. There's going to be structured networking time throughout the day, throughout the event, for you to really begin to build and structure some network partners at the event. So I would say, when you're considering this event for yourself, don't just consider it for yourself, but considering who is your best referrer, who are people that work within a network with yourself, and consider bringing them along to the event as well. Because if they've lifted their game and they're your best referral partner, then you can only be of mutual benefit to the both of you.
I agree with you, Dennis. And what's exciting about this, if people really understand, by them taking their referring partner, their employees, their people that need a kick in the ass, well, they'll all benefit. And by all benefiting, then we'll work smarter, not harder, and then you can monetize the things that you immediately learn and use them out in the field. For example, if a home inspector does a great job for a realtor and is becoming average, he or she stands an opportunity that they might find a different home inspector. However, if that home inspector learns the skills of how to become a rainmaker and then starts referring business to realtors that he's receiving business, he will immediately separate himself from most home inspectors, if not all. And the reason why I know this, I have not in 22 years received a referral from a home inspector. So you home inspectors who are listening on right now, and I see a few of you, you might want to take notes right now and learn how to become a better rainmaker in your specific field if you want to continue to receive referrals from your best referral real estate partners.
Great, Jay. And for those of you on the call, like, we really applaud you being on the program. And what you've done, you've received an invite. It was a prompt in, and you've acted upon it. You've said, there may be something here for me. I'm not sure what it is. I'm going to give Jay and Dennis a half an hour of my time to see if I can really begin to build a knowledge of what this is about, and see if this is a fit and a match for me. See if I really want to take my own game, my career, my business, the thing that I offer the world, see if I can take that to the next level. And you're going to be amongst the few who will take action. And on April the 4th, you're going to be privy to some really great information. We've lined up a fantastic group of speakers from very, very diverse backgrounds. We have realtors, we have public speakers, we have coaches, just something really there for everyone. And each and every one of them is going to be talking about through one theme. And one theme is how to become a rainmaker, how to become somebody that thrives regardless of what is happening in the economy, how to become somebody that puts money not only in their own pockets, but in their employees' pockets, in their vendors' pockets, in their colleagues' pockets. So I'm really excited for that. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Jay. We're going to talk a little bit about the DNA. What is in the DNA of people that are able to get out there and call themselves rainmakers?
The DNA, as we know it, is someone who lives it, breathes it, applies it, is practicing not safe, but living a big, bold, hairy, audacious life. They recognize what they might be doing is not the normal. It's not being safe. But by doing that, they are attracting other like-minded, high-achieving professionals. That is so much greater than becoming average. I like using an example when I talk to people, and I say I'm a passionate golfer. Dennis is a very good beginning golfer. I've been playing for 20-plus years. Well, Dennis takes up lessons, and he practices 1 hour a week. I take up lessons, and I practice 10 hours a week. After 6 months, who's the better golfer? Well, most people will say me. That's the easy answer because I practice more. But there's a catch. Dennis is practicing with Tiger Woods. I'm practicing with my good friend Harry Brusades, who's an average golfer. I become a better average golfer. Dennis Charles becomes from a beginner to a 5 handicapper because he took the time to practice with the best. He took the time to seek out the DNA from that specific coach who is going to elevate him and escalate him to a level that most people are afraid of. That's what I find in the DNA from the 5 people who will be speaking, is that they're fearless in getting out their message to the people. They may not be perfect. They might not be as polished. They might still be moving forward in a public speaking forum. But I can tell you they're going to be better than the most of the audience. And they'll be better because they planted their flag and they're working on their passion. They're working on their message. And they continue to strive and thrive in their best business, which is helping others.
Great stuff, Jay. And one of the other things that I see is that the hard work and sacrifice, which is always part of the equation, and knowing when to sacrifice and knowing when to work hard, when to really push, and when to hold back a little bit. Today, we have a very, very divided society. We have a lot of people that have a lot of people that don't have much and are waiting for things to happen. And one of the things I always say, Jay, is, hey, things are not going to happen if you sit around waiting for the coach to put you in the game. You're probably not getting in the game. But if you're getting out there, busting your hump, working at practice, talking with the coach, suggesting ideas, suggesting strategies, then you're much more likely to be in that game. So sitting around waiting for your career to begin, for your business to take off, it's kind of really a fool's game. So, Jay, I know you've got a story of like when the two of us first met. It's quite a funny story looking back on it.
Absolutely. And what has happened is that we were able to come through our differences, and by becoming professional to get through those differences, we saw some congruency. We aligned ourselves with our best practices and how we could better fit each other. And ultimately, that's why we're going to be together on April 4th, is because we put our differences aside. We recognize that we both have something that we can offer one another, and we aligned that congruency to make massive improvement to our businesses. And here on April 4th, we've collected 3 other fantastic speakers. Nobody in the industry has done this with as much experience as we have, collecting 5 people on a stage that can give you the content that you would have to travel miles for, make huge commitments for, and we're going to be able to bring that on April 4th. And that's because you and I took the time to plant our flag, write out a plan, proceed with the plan, and we're just 3 weeks away, and I am truly excited to be part of this great event with you, Dennis.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed after we got over our initial differences was your willingness to play all out, to play big and not to play small. And that's one of the things that I see with Rainmakers. They play all out. They play big. They go for it. They understand that some things are not going to work out and be successful, but they use those as learning experiences. They don't allow previous failure to hold them back. They move on. They move on. They move on. And Jay, I'd like you to give us an example of what from where you were 5 years ago to kind of where you are now.
Well, I'll cite a quick example. 5 years ago, I was very good at what I did, and I held back a little bit. I would be the middle of the pack. I'd be in the middle of the line, and then I realized, as an example, why. I say to people, I'm 45 years of age. I had a very good first 45. I'd shot probably 1 under par with the proverbial golf analogy. The next 9, I want to shoot 9 under par. So I've become fearless, and I watch others. As you know, I watch Stacey Alcorn very, very closely. She shared something with me pretty passionately back in November. She had taken a donation to the Huffington Post. Ariana Huffington, she was the lead speaker, guest speaker, keynote speaker at the Massachusetts Women's Conference. And 2, 3 people, I think, could not make it. So Stacey had invited me, and I was one of only 4 registered men at this event. And I loved it because all these eyeballs were coming at me, Dennis. And while I was there, we had lunch, and at the lunch and the keynote was almost finished, Stacey got up and she dismissed herself from the table. I didn't know something happened at home. I didn't know something happened at the office. Well, then, after Ariana finished and after the last speaker concluded, I was looking for Stacey. Well, I couldn't find her. I walk outside. Who's there with Ariana Huffington having an awesome conversation, which Stacey Alcorn then talked to Ariana, who then became a Huffington Post contributor. Well, boy, I said to myself, that is a Rainmaker value, and I can duplicate that. Let's fast forward a few weeks ago. You and I went up to a great opportunity to see Dr. Ivan Meisner, the founder of B&I, Business Networking International. We had a similar circumstance where he was the keynote. Before he finished, I got up and excused myself, and while I was waiting, knowing that he was going to be signing books, I was the first in line, got 10 books signed from him, and you and I had a 15-minute conversation with Dr. Ivan Meisner. It doesn't stop there, Dennis, because as you mentioned, it's in my DNA now to not be afraid to meet the people who are the visionaries, the people who are not playing it safe, but the people who are really the leaders of this industry.
Excellent.
Recently, I took the occasion to, I reached out to, oh, yep, sure. And it's all a collection of being able to not play it safe and to play it big.
Excellent, Jay. It's really one of the traits that I see over and over again. It's the characteristics of the Rainmaker is the ability to have some vision, to be able to be a leader, and to have people follow them, to be willing to be really the first person through the door to get their nose broken so that others around them can reap the benefits. And that's what we're talking here with a Rainmaker. So, Jay, tell us a little bit more about being irresistible, being zesty. I love that phrase that you put out there.
The characteristics of someone who's a Rainmaker is obvious when they walk into a room, when they look in your eye, when they give you a handshake, when they recognize and they use something called the ears, which we have 2 of them, in their mouth, which we have 1 of them, and they recognize when to speak and when to listen. Most people love to talk, and it's all about themselves. A Rainmaker knows when to listen, ask some great questions, take great notes, how to follow up, and really get interested in that person. Then they can use the social skills, social networking skills, the follow-up skills, the necessary skills to attract that piece of business or that relationship. So the characteristics of a good Rainmaker is one of a great listener and one who is able to extremely follow up in a way that most people will not. And that might be asking 4 or 5 times. That might be asking 6 or 7 times. But at the end, the Rainmaker recognizes that that is a skill that most people are not willing to go through and therefore they have separated themselves by default by learning those particular characteristics.
Great stuff, Jay. And another thing that I love, and we're really going to be hitting home in the entire event, is going beyond being average. Like, there's a time and a place to be average, but in your life and in your business, I don't think that is the time. I think a lot of people are scared to go above being average. I think a lot of people are scared to do what it takes to move beyond what the pack are doing. And that's one thing I see a Rainmaker doing over and again. And it's one thing that I'll hammer away with my private clients over and over again. A lot of them come to see me because they want to be just a little bit better than what they are. And then they get those increases in 48 hours, 72 hours. And I say, well, what now? And they go, well, I still want more. I still want more. I want to be doing more. I want to be making more. I want to be giving more. I want to be providing more. And that's when the work really begins. And that's when it gets interesting, because that barrier of just wanting to be average to wanting to stay in the pack is completely stripped away. And it's one of the things that we're really going to be hammering away. It's going to be one of the themes of the Rainmaker event on April 4th. And one of the characteristics of a Rainmaker really is just that willingness to go put their head out of the crowd and not want to be average.
I agree. And the characteristics will be exposed through the vision, through the words of the 5 speakers, and that's how we'll be able to leverage. Leverage and monetize what you'll learn on April 4th is truly what most people and their why of coming. What's in it for them, Dennis? That's what I always ask when I start to speak to a crowd. What's in it for you? Well, learning how to leverage ancillary, congruent properties of when you're working with a business person is going to increase your bottom line 200, 300, 400%. If we don't know how to leverage and monetize, well, we truly aren't going to be rainmakers. And we're truly, like you said, stay in that average zone. Nobody wants to be average. However, some people believe they're beyond average. I tried to ask them, really, would someone refer you? That tells me you're average. See, we do not refer average. We did not marry an average spouse. We did not select an average university. We selected an extraordinary university. We chose to marry an extraordinary person. And so what I have learned as a rainmaker is to remind myself, wherever I am, is to make sure that average truly is the opposite of success. Failure is a process to success. Average and mediocrity is the antithesis of success.
Couldn't agree more with you, Jay. Couldn't agree more with you. All right, so we're rounding out our half an hour here. It's been an absolute pleasure with you, Jay. Time really does fly when we're talking about this stuff, and I could talk with this stuff with you forever, because I think it's when we really truly become alive and we start offering of ourselves and we start thinking the big ideas. That's when we as humans we truly make it happen. So we're going to talk now about the event and what you can expect and what's in it for you. And one of the things I would say, and I'm going to hit upon a thing that you just touched upon, was leverage. I was talking to a good friend of mine down in Florida who runs a very successful internet business, and he said, a lot of people ask me why am I so successful, and he said, for the longest time I could never get it. And then he said, it's one word, it's leverage. He said, I know how to leverage what I'm given. He said, I wasn't the best looking guy, I wasn't the smartest guy, I wasn't the most hardworking guy, I wasn't born with a whole bunch of money. But what I was able to do in order to get my success was leverage myself up and use what was given to me and begin to work that leverage. And I thought that was just the most fantastic answer. I said, yeah, it makes so much sense. And so that's one of the things that we're going to do is like, not worry about when you come to this event where you are now, but where you're going to be going. And what are the little tiny things that you can begin to leverage? They're going to take you not from A to B to C, but from A to M to Z and then to Z squared and beyond. Because we're talking about moving you in a quantum way with your business, with your career, with your life, where you want to go. So what else can people expect when they come to the event, Jay?
Well, they can expect that they will network, they will learn, they'll walk away, they'll have a goodie bag, they'll get to interview you, Stacy, Mark, myself, Rob. They'll be able to ask specific questions to how Rob went from where he was to having a bi-coastal multi-million-dollar real estate empire. And that, to me, is exciting. In addition, they'll open up their eyes of the different industries that are associated with other high achievers. The sneakers, the jeans, the t-shirts, those folks will not be at this event. So if you want to, you've got to act big. You've got to walk, talk, shake, and bake like the people who are doing that. I don't find any place around locally that you can find that so easily. At this event, you will find that. So you'll be able to walk away, you'll be able to connect, you'll be able to contact, subscribe, you'll be able to do whatever you want to do afterwards. As you had mentioned, which I think is a great message, this is not your typical event, Dennis. This is not where we're going to give you 10% content and try to sell you 90% subscriptions, etc. This is truly 100% meet, greet, listen, get your takeaways, and then implement thereafter. If you so choose wanted to follow up with Dennis, Stacy, Mark, or Rob, or myself, you certainly will be able to get in contact with us. But for 6 hours, you'll be able to listen, network, and follow up, and you'll walk away amazed of what the intellectual equity component that you have received, that you'll say, why haven't somebody else done something like this? I could get one of these every single quarter. In fact, that's what we see ourselves doing, Dennis. But right now, what's most important is for you to take the lead and explain how people can get started immediately by hitting that particular button.
Yep. And before we get there, I just want to tell you a little bit. The other thing you're going to get is you're going to get yourself a great lunch. It's going to be a great experience. Jay's going to be fully in charge of setting that up for you. There's going to be great music. It's going to really be a really professional event that not only you're going to want to go to, but you're going to want to bring your best professional contacts to. Rather than sending them over a $50 gift basket, this would be something that shows to your most professional colleagues and clients that you really mean business. And the other thing you're going to get is you're going to get a presentation from one of my favorite speakers. And there's a guy in the middle of the picture here, and his name's Mark Wayshak. And Mark, I've known for a few years. And he's really special. A lot of people call him the young Tony Robbins because he's dynamic, he's really thoughtful, he's really, really successful. He has this idea called game plan selling. And to me, it's worth the entire investment in the event to show up and have the ability to see Mark present, to get his ideas, and to spend a few minutes talking with Mark afterwards. So, without further ado, let's move it along and talk about how you can sign up. Well, the event is April 4th, and there's your website. Head on over there. It's www.rainmakermindset.eventbrite.com. And there are a number of different options that you can sign up for. If you're live on the webinar, you've still got a chance to get in at our early bird rate. If you're listening to this webinar, because we will record this webinar, and it's after March 10th, unfortunately, that early bird rate is no longer going to be there, but it's still an incredible investment for you to come, get all of this education, get all this opportunity to network with these wonderful people. There are also packages that we're offering for you to, if you want to come with 2 people to bring your business partner, a great package. It's an excellent day out for a minimal investment. And finally, we're really looking for those that have businesses, those that have employees, those that really want to become rainmakers and want to become influencers. There's an I Am an Influencer package where really you bring in yourself, 4 others, really for the price of lunch. And so I would encourage you really now to just jump on there before we sell out, because we do have an upper limit, unfortunately. I would jump in there and really take advantage of those offers. Jay, you still with us?
I'm still here, Dennis. I'm loving what you have to say.
Okay. So we're have about 2 minutes. So anything else you want to say, Jay, before we get to wrap this one up?
You know, I agree with everything that you said tonight. People have a choice. People have the choice to stay in their average capacity, wondering what they could have done, should have done, would have done differently, or they have a choice to say, wow, I get a chance to meet these 5 individuals who are not only doing it, but are doing it with massive results. I really herald you for putting this webinar together. I apologize for being a little late. I'm excited to see the people who will be at this event. It really charges me up. It helps me with my own networking, and it helps with my own business. So I think that's the business